You've been told that aging is something that simply happens to you. It isn't. Not entirely in the specific difference between people who feel decades younger than their age at 60 and people who don't. Often comes down to 7 small, deliberately chosen habits that most people never think to call hobbies at all. Subscribe before we go further. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which of these 7 you're missing. Part 1. Neuroscientists studying cognitive aging have found that the brain's capacity to form new neural connections doesn't disappear after 60. It simply requires more deliberate stimulation than it did at 20. Learning a new language, a musical instrument, or an unfamiliar skill forces the brain to build fresh pathways rather than simply reinforcing old ones. This single habit consistently correlates with sharper memory and slower cognitive decline in long-term studies. Part 2. Of all physical activities studied for their effect on aging, dancing shows up unusually often in the research. It combines physical movement, memory recall for steps and sequences, and social connection, all at once. Few single hobbies stack that many protective factors together in one activity. If you've ever noticed how much lighter you felt after moving your body to music, hit like right now, because what the research shows is that feeling isn't just emotional, it's measurably physiological. Part 3. Gardening requires sustained attention, physical activity that's gentle on aging joints, and regular exposure to sunlight and fresh air, all of which support both physical health and mood regulation. There's also a specific psychological benefit researchers keep finding nurturing something living, and watching it grow over time provides a steady, low-pressure sense of purpose that many people lose after retirement. Part 4. Loneliness has been identified, in multiple large studies, as carrying health risks comparable to smoking. Hobbies built around genuine social contact, book clubs, group classes, volunteer work protect against this risk directly. The specific hobby matters less than the consistent, ongoing social contact embedded inside it. Subscribe if this is resonating. Next week, we go deeper into exactly how social connection affects the aging brain specifically. Part 5. Not simply walking as transportation, but walking as a deliberate, regular practice, ideally outdoors. Ideally daily. Studies on longevity consistently identify regular walking as one of the single strongest predictors of both physical and cognitive health after 60, outperforming many more intense forms of exercise, specifically because of how sustainable it is over decades. Part 6. Painting, writing, playing music, or any hobby involving genuine creative output gives the brain a specific kind of exercise that pure consumption television, scrolling, passive entertainment never provides. Creative hobbies engage problem solving, fine motor skill, and emotional processing simultaneously. And researchers have found they correlate with greater life satisfaction well into old age. If you've ever picked up an old hobby after years away from it, and felt something in you come back to life, drop it in the comments. I want to know what it was. Part 7. Mentoring or teaching others. The final hobby is less commonly discussed, but perhaps the most powerful. Passing on skill or knowledge to someone younger provides a specific sense of continued relevance and purpose that researchers consistently link to healthy aging. It reframes age not as decline, but as accumulated value with somewhere real to go. Closing. None of these 7 hobbies require significant money or dramatic life changes. They require choosing, deliberately and repeatedly, to stay engaged rather than to simply let time pass. Age, it turns out, is only partly a number. The rest is a series of small, ongoing choices about how fully you keep participating in your own life. Hit that like button if this gave you something to actually start this week. Drop in the comments which of these 7 are you already doing, and which one will you try next. I read every single one. Subscribe before you go. We go further into healthy aging next week. Until then, pick one. Start today.